Hi guys, Aceface back with another video for you, and this is the final part in the Road to the Las Vegas Open 2016, sponsored by Wargames. This is the actual Las Vegas Open edition of this series, and the one that hopefully you've been looking forward to and have been waiting patiently to see. I'm back now, so I'm filming this after the event, and as you can probably hear, I'm very sick. I suffered at the end of the tournament quite heavily. I think I caught a bug on the plane, as you do, and a combination of that, a bit of a stomach bug and also a bit of a cold as well, means that I've been feeling pretty ropey the last couple of days, so apologies if I don't sound my normal self, but we're going to fight on through it, and I'm going to deliver to you this video. So I've got lots of cool footage from the event, which hopefully you'll be pleased to see. I didn't want to let you down there, guys, and hopefully those of you did follow my journey as it was happening live on Facebook. I posted tons and tons of updates, so those of you that have followed me on Facebook already pretty much know a lot of this anyway, so you guys are right up to date. But what I'll do in this video is I will talk a lot more detail, so this will probably be in all a quite lengthy video, but hopefully it's one that you'll enjoy. Just want to kick off by saying big thank you to my sponsor Wargames for this journey. I know I've plugged the name every single video, but I would really recommend that if you do need any new gaming equipment, whether it be models, paints, whatever it might be, drop Martin an email. His website is still just getting up and going, so it's not quite up yet, but he's got some absolutely phenomenal prices, really competitive, some great turnaround times, some really good stock, so do check him out when you're looking for your next hobby item. Right, so without further ado, let's dive in two-footed into this journey. So on Thursday, so last Thursday, this will probably go up on Friday, I'm guessing Friday I don't know, but anyway, the Friday after the LVO, this will probably go up. But the Thursday before, I flew out to the US, to Las Vegas. We got in to Las Vegas. It was sort of very late morning, early afternoon, so obviously we're feeling a little bit jet lagged, a little bit tired, but very excited. So that's pretty much where our little journey starts. I'm going to roll into the video of the event now, and you'll get to sort of see me start off there. You'll see some pictures of some of the, well, some film footage of some of the beautiful armies there. They did like almost a bit of a sort of competition for best painted armies and that type of thing beforehand. I didn't enter into it just because the standard was so high, and as much as I'm really proud of my towel, some of the, as you'll see from the video, some of the standard was absolutely stunning, so I let these guys get on with it and do what they do best, but I thought it'd be worth you seeing some of the beautiful armies that were there, so I'll show you that in these videos as well. And then after that it cuts to my first game, and I'll do a little bit of commentary on each of the games as we kind of go through it. So guys, we checked in at the Bellagio, and this is the view from just outside, so we are overlooking Bally's. So tonight we'll do some checking in and get things started. So we'll see what happens. Should meet up with a few people tonight, which will be good, and I'm looking forward to tomorrow and getting things registered and start this tournament. See you in the next video.
So, day before, registration just happened. I've just sat getting signed in after a lot of cocktails, so it's been a fun first day, and so I've been signing in over there. I've got my my lovely pass for the convention, and it's all quiet at the moment. People are just slowly filtering in. But wow, look at the amount of tables we've got here. It's looking absolutely awesome, absolutely breathtaking. Not seen this many tables before, so it's going to be pretty crazy. I'm going to have a little scan around, we'll have a little look at the tables, and see what we're getting ready for tomorrow.
So first game I took on the Necrons, took on, I mean, what I would say straight away, this goes to every single game, all the guys I played were absolutely phenomenal. They were great sports, really enjoyed every single game. So this kind of goes through all of them, but it was a really enjoyable game. It was really funny because we caught up beforehand and we were just talking about the channel and talking about the armies and what have you, and just so happens we drew each other, which was crazy. But lovely bloke, really top, nice guy, beautiful Necron army, and I thought this would be a tough one. I did have something really going for me, was the fact that I practiced very recently against Nick Idic Beer against his Necrons and played a destroyer type list, and this was a destroyer type list, so some great practice for me there straight away off the bat, which was really cool. So it was, to go over his list briefly, it was just the destroyers, it was the spider-y mech thing, I can't remember what it's called. He had Praetorians, and he had the normal Decorium in there as well with a Canoptic Harvest, and it went really well. It went really well. So the Storm Surges were awesome. They just caused absolute grief throughout the game. The Strength 10 was really good because it's brutal against when he's got so much Strength 5 stuff, Toughness 5 stuff. And it was exactly the same against Nick. You fail those saves and it really hurts because you're just removing models left, right and centre, whether it be Wraiths, whether it be Destroyers, whether it be Praetorians, and that really helped. Also the combat ability of stomping and what have you, that again helped a great deal. The focus for the Necrons was very much around taking out the smaller stuff, and that worked very well. He did remove pretty much all my squishy stuff, and left me more or less with the big stuff. The big stuff though then did pretty much wreck a majority of his army, and ended up taking out and taking away the points. So I took full points. Actually was quite close. I almost made a mistake in the last turn of the game and didn't remove the model I needed to in the backfield to give myself line breaker and take the primary objective, which might have been a bit closer. As it was, I did, which meant I came through with full marks. So really good first game. Was feeling quite confident coming out of that, and we'll see how we got on as we went into the game number 2. So rolling into game number 2, again awesome game, a lot of fun. I was playing the Relic, I was playing a battle company. Now the gentleman Patrick I played, he was a good player. Now I have to take my hats off to him. He absolutely outplayed me. He outfought me. He was just a better player. He probably is just a better player, full stop. A very seasoned veteran, very used to playing the ITC, knew what he was doing, knew exactly how to play the terrain, knew exactly how to get the best out of his army. So his was a battle company with quite a good alpha strike, so he had 2 good units of Sens, and he had the librarian in there as well. So yeah, and he had a drop pod to bring the Sens in if he wanted to. So he got the Warlord trait to outflank, to infiltrate extra units. So he infiltrated his Sens really close to me, it hid them so they were well out of line of sight. I couldn't get to them first turn. I had first turn, I always want first turn, but he did an awesome job at hiding all his troops. So he hid pretty much everything. I could just basically get to some Razorbacks to cause some initial damage there, and I completely fell into the trap, and I also got really cocky and I absolutely cocked the game up. This was my big error game. This one was just down to pure stupidity on my behalf, and just way too much faith that I would survive just to luck, and you can't depend on luck in 40k. You've got to play the odds. So after me obviously going first, I jumped my Wyvaras forward. I took out one of the Razorbacks, caused a bit of damage. I took some shots on and another bit of Rhino that I could see, and that was about it. But then in the beta strike, as his Grav unit came down, his other grav unit came out of hiding. They wasted both my Wyvara battle suits, and it didn't need to happen. I could have quite easily avoided that. It wasn't necessary. I could have held them back. I had enough interceptor to, if they were going to come to me, they would have been in an awful lot of trouble dropping in line of sight. I could have easily avoided it, and then potentially taken out both his sends without even having to worry. So real big cock up. I just went for the glory, and I went for the fact that I was convinced that my Wyvaras would survive a round of shooting. At least one of them would survive. Removing both of them turn one, I was always going to lose at that point. But I did make a good showing of it. So what I did then was we moved to centre stage. The two storm surges lumped into the middle, and then we just made a pretty much a 4-turn stand on the relic, trying to take away everything we could. Took out one of the Centurions, took his Warlord and his secondary HQ down to 1 wound. We're stomping things for fun, caused lots of damage, really hung in there. Ultimately the game was already pretty lost, so much objective secure. Eventually he just got through the storm surges, took them out, and that was it, and it was game over. He was a great sport, really good player, and you know, we talked about it long afterwards. But yeah, it was just a pure error. So used to being just, I only really know to play those Wyvaras in one way, and in this game it wasn't the way to play them. So you live and learn, and it just didn't work out. So that was game 2, as we go on to game 3. So on to game 3. Game 3, the last game of the Friday. Played a very interesting, funny game. Again, really enjoyable. We're going to catch up again. I'm probably going to play some games when this gentleman comes over to the UK later this year with a bit of luck. He was playing KDK, my first real experience of playing KDK, to be honest with you. He was playing them with the Riptide Wing, which, yeah, I mean, some people would say is not in the spirit of the game. He was quite joking and fun about it. It is the ITC, it is the LVO, it's a competitive tournament, and you have to be able to put up with that. I don't mind it, doesn't bother me. It was a very competitive list. He'd been doing some work. He had managed to lose 1 game that day, but his list was pretty solid. So he had the Chaos Knight, he had some dogs, he had bikes, he had, you know, the standard sort of stuff that you'd see in a KDK list, but he had the Riptide Wing as well. We had a great laugh. He had a Void Shield as well. This game pretty much should have been a win for me. I should have had this one. Unfortunately, the big problem was this Chaos Knight, and I knew it would be. I needed to pick this knight off first turn. He had to go. So what I did, Wyvaras went up. We tried to get inside the Void Shield generator, take out the knight. We put some damage into the knight. Then we tried to do damage with the Storm Surges. We didn't do very well with a Marker Light. We did some more work. We got him down to 1 single hull point. And that, unfortunately, was the game breaker. I knew I needed to take him out. He then came forward, everything very aggressively, as I would have expected. I did pretty well, you know, I managed to weather the storm quite well, but slowly but surely he was starting to get closer and closer and closer. The Riptide Wing was doing work, it was causing damage, but eventually the inevitable happened. Because he was tying me up quite early days, the knight did manage to survive. I tried to take him out, I really did, but the knight got in. He got in combat with the Storm Surges, and with that chainsaw, wow. Unfortunately, he rolled a couple of 6s, and there went the Storm Surges, and that was good night. But it was one of those ones where, you know, ultimately, if I got lucky that first turn, well, not even if I got lucky, I think ultimately the odds were probably with me. If I'd taken that knight out first turn, he would have gone Supernova. He probably would have taken out a bit of his army. It was kill points, that one. It was all in my favour. It should have been my victory, that one. But it happened, you know. We both knew it was the case. that knight got away with it, he was going to cause work. He was going to do work. He was going to cause trouble, and that's pretty much what happened. Can't complain. It was just one of those things. I have such a small model count. You're gonna risk that, but epic game. A lot of fun. We had a few drinks afterwards. It was quality, and that was the end of the third game. So end of the first day, just a 1 win, 2 losses. Not what I was hoping for at all. Obviously, took me out of any contention for getting into the last 8, and I was really going to struggle at that point, even to get into the top 50. But we were going to have fun, and we were going to see what we could do as we went into day 2, and we go into the 4th game. So rocking into the 4th game, we went against another Tau army. This Tau army was using the formation where everything pretty much comes in turn 2, and has Relentless and what have you. It was a pretty balanced, nice little Tau list, pretty damn solid. It had a Storm Surge in it, but had no Marklights. We talked about that was pretty much the big downer on him. There was no way of making those missiles into D missiles, which was kind of a bit of an error. The list itself was powerful. It had the ability to do work without a doubt. But my list pretty much had everything that his had, but with more danger, more nastiness. He had the optimised stealth Cade, but I've just got so much damage output that it wasn't even going to be a factor. This game was very one-sided. It didn't help. I had first turn as well, so I had first turn. I caused an awful lot of damage. Pretty much got close to removing his Storm Surge first turn. Didn't in the end, but you know, I'd caused an awful lot of damage. We really ripped holes in his army first turn. Then sort of when he hit back, didn't do that much damage. Excuse me. And then I carried on that theme really, but the killing blow really was when everything came in like it was always going to on turn 2. I pretty much had my turn and his turn and wiped out so much, including his Warlord, I just obliterated his army in my turn with the Interceptor, which was always going to be the case, and that was pretty much the nail in the coffin. It was a really enjoyable game. He was a great sport. We had a lot of fun, and it brought me back with a win, which was nice to start the Saturday with another win. And I'm thinking at this point potentially we can try and pull things back to make things a little bit more respectable as we went into game number 5. So, in game number 5, I took on one of my biggest challenges. I took on 3 knights, and they weren't just any old knights. These knights were 2 of them were the Forge World knights. One of them was the new swanky one. I can't remember his name now, to be fair, but he has all the bells and whistles. This thing was reducing the strength of weapons against him. He had an extra wound. He had kind of a bit of save. He could regenerate wounds. He had a lance that was D. He also could kill you with D in combat. He had this knight was immense. And then he had the other one, which had the Hellfire Storm template as well as the D weapon, and then he had a standard knight as well. So he was pretty nasty. Then he had his I can't remember what they're called, but the Admech HQ, and then 2 units of destroyers and a void shield. So this was going to be extremely tough, because even with the D missiles, I needed to get very lucky with them. I needed to take down this void shield for me to be able to even deliver the D missiles to them, which is difficult because I don't have a lot to bring down the void shield with, not easily anyway. So this was going to be real tough. It's a very hard matchup for my army, because even with that, they've got all D combat, which is just going to obliterate my army very easy. On top of that, the gentleman that was playing the army was a high ranked ITC player, doing very well in the Agents of the Imperium within the actual standings in the ITC rank. So another veteran, plays every month in the ITC, knows exactly what he's doing. So this again was going to be a really tough game. but wow, what a game it was. You couldn't have called it, this one. You really couldn't have called it. I got first turn, and I bounded in with the Wyvaras because they had no choice. They had no choice. What we needed to do was these Wyvaras had one mission really, to pretty much take down that Void Shield generator, get inside it, take out the Void Shield generator itself. The other one then needed to do some work on one of the knights, hopefully roll pretty hot, and then allow the marker lights and the D missiles to try and take out one, if not two, of the knights straight first turn. That was the strategy. That's what needed to happen for me to stand any chance. What happened was not quite that. So the Void Shield generator did go down, which was good. Then we did do a little bit of work on the Hellstorm variant. Knight was the one we decided to focus in on. Thought he would be the easier one to go with potentially. That would still cause a lot of damage to particularly my small stuff. So I thought we'd just take on him. So put some damage into him. We did some work. We put some D missiles into him. He did just survive, unfortunately. Absolute killer. And we some other little damage went to the other two. I think the other ones might have taken one whole point in that first turn. Obviously the Wyvaras had sacrificed themselves for it. They both got appalling jump back moves, so there was no chance they could really hide either, which again was a bit of a killer blow for me. But I was hoping they might be able to buy me some time, so that was the plan. His turn, the inevitable happened, but only just. He made some charges. He actually only made his charge by like 1 inch on both of them, but basically got into both the Wyvara battlesuits, which was a killer. One of the Wyvara battlesuits went down first turn straight away. The other one survived. He held up in the first round of combat, which was pretty good going, and he actually did some work. And we had such a joke about it because the knight that was in against the Wyvara was down to like 1 whole point left, just through sort of bits and pieces, other shots at him. And the destroyers came in on the Wyvara as well, just to make sure. But rather, the easy thing for me to do was to put the Wyvara on the destroyers. They were much more likely to do damage to them, and just leave the knight and just realise the knight was going to kill the Wyvara anyway. But I thought, no, let's not do that. Let's take the risk and let's try and do the unthinkable and blow up this knight. So, in fact, I lie. The knight had 3 wounds, so I needed that explode result, was what I was after. So what did I do? I rolled a 6, and I rolled a 6 again, and if I'd rolled a 5 or a 6 on my third roll, the Wyvara would have blown up the knight, but that didn't happen, unfortunately. So I rolled a 3, and then the knight did club him to death. But to kind of cut a long story short, the nasty knight did eventually get into the Storm Surges, and the Storm Surges actually beat his arse down for about 3 turns of combat, believe it or not. My Storm Surges out-combated one of the nastiest knights in the business, and took him down to 1 whole point. So at the end of the game, because eventually he did club out the 2 Storm Surges, he had 1 knight had gone down, 1 had blown up, the other 2 were on 1 whole point left, but unfortunately they survived through. Once they killed off the Storm Surges, they just ran out and killed everything else, because they were always going to. There's nothing else I could do at that point, but literally 1 whole point left, and I would have killed, so 2 whole points in all left, and I would have killed all 3 knights. So good. My army performed awesome against really tough opponent. There was nothing I could do really. There was nothing I could do. So yeah, really good. Very enjoyable game. Very funny. It was a ball. But you know, that you live and learn. So I went down, unfortunately, which then left me with one more game to go. So I bowled into game 6. At this point I had 3 losses, 2 wins. So head was a little bit down, I'm not going to lie. As you know, I am very competitive. I do rate my ability in the game. I've been very successful in both tournaments and in friendly games. So I do have confidence in my own ability, and I was disappointed with just the results. But ultimately, it's one of those things, and you have to be big enough, ugly enough, and brave enough to be able to just admit when you've been outplayed or you've been outlucked. And I think I had a combination of both those things. So rocking into the last game, I played my beloved Tyranids, and this was to be my nail in the coffin. So it was Flyer and Spam. It was a list I knew extremely well. The only variance really was he had a Void Shield generator, just with the 1 shield, and he had a Venomthrope rather than a Malanthrope, and he was rocking some Lictors, but other than that, couple of Morlocks, loads of Flyrants. So very standard. I was going first. If I got first turn, we would have dealt some damage. We would have dealt some serious damage. He cast up in the corner. Absolutely to be expected. Try and get that good save, be in the Void Shield generator, and have a good cover save. What then happened was he stole the initiative, and that hurt me massively. He then came down one side. He picked off one of the Wyvaras because he put every single Twin Link Devourer into him, and I really did not save well at all. So he took out one of the Wyvaras, which was a bit of a killer. Did some damage to some of the Fire Warriors that are around there. Some of their marker drones as well. So not great. In my turn then, I had to try and deal with some of this stuff that's flying, and I just couldn't. I just couldn't deal with it. I didn't roll hot at all. He was making his saves. His psychic powers were doing work. I just could not buy it. This game was a game where you just don't get any luck. This was just the no luck game. To the extent that middle way through the game, in fact just over middle way through the game, my 2 Storm Surges were planted. I put 57 strength 5 shots into 1 Flyrant who had 3 wounds left. He took no wounds from 57 shots. That gives you an idea of how unlucky I was. So yeah, it wasn't good. I was putting shots in, I was trying to do work, I intercepted his Morlock as he came in. Even with all my shooting, he was left on 1 wound. He should have been obliterated. This was just the way it works. I just couldn't, I could not do the damage I needed to. I just could not do it. I just couldn't. So yeah, it was a brutal game. It was absolutely brutal. I just hardly touched him, hardly scratched his army. All he did was he just circled. He just replayed it perfectly. He came down the side to give him full manoeuvrability to them. He got 2 turns to go straight forward. He then banked. He banked right. He flew along. He banked right again. He flew along. He banked right again. And that's pretty much where he ended. He stayed in the sky the entire time. He cast his psychic powers. He did some psychic screams on me. That caused work. Eventually, just through those sheer volume of shots from the Devourers, he took down both the Storm Surges. They lasted a long time. They did some damage, but he took them down. Yeah, it was absolutely brutal. It was a painful experience to go through, just being so unlucky with the dice rolls. I could feel no pains, I could make no saves. It was absolutely a horrendously brutal game. But the gentleman, he was a great sport. We were laughing and joking. I was head in hands, but it was all in the spirit of the game. There was no hard feeling there. I said it's my own fault, it's karma for not bringing my Tyranids, and it very much was, and he capitalised beautifully on just my inability to make saves, and that was the loss. So unfortunately guys, it went down to 2 wins and 4 losses for my beloved army, so not a great performance. So guys, there you have it. That's what happened. So not wonderful, if I'm honest. But I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoyed the experience, which was what it's all about. As I said in the video, a lot of it was luck, you know, but I've learned a lot as well, and I've learned that actually, as much as I did love my list, and I still think the list is very powerful, the problem with it, and particularly in ITC, that lack of units was my downfall, because when you have multiple units, you can get unlucky with a couple, and it's not so bad. As soon as you get unlucky with lots of with just when you've only got a few and you get unlucky, it hurts so much more. And that's ultimately what happened to me. I just got the bad luck, and I had no way of recovering from it because I didn't have enough units to recover from bad luck. Plus any mistakes I made, so much more brutal for me, because again, not the units to survive afterwards. So I learned it wasn't the right list. It wasn't the right list, unfortunately, and you have to put your hand up and go, potentially that was a mistake. But it was an extremely good tournament. I thank the guys at Frontline Gaming. Both Frankie and Reese were gents. They were great hosts. Met them both, really friendly. Chuffed to bits with the success from the competition. It was really good. Met some absolutely epically awesome people. Thoroughly enjoyed the tournament. And what I will end this video with is I will tell you guys, I am going back. I'm going back next year. And if you follow me on Facebook, you will see this already. But I'm telling you now, I'm making this commitment to you guys in front of camera, making this commitment now, that I will be taking High Fleet Voro to the LVO next year, and we will do work, guys. No more of this smoke and mirrors. Tau have been awesome. They've been a great project for this year. I'm going to still play on with the guys. They'll still be involved in tournaments, still be involved in bat reps. But my beloved High Fleet Voro, taking that shelf too long. And yes, it's going to be a challenge. Yes, Tyranids are not optimal in the current meta. Yes, it does mean flyer and spam is one of the hardest ways to the hardest ways to avoid. I'm going to have to probably take it, or variants of it, or find a way around it, which I'm investigating time at the moment. But I can tell you one thing for sure. I am going out there to Las Vegas next year with High Fleet Voro, and we're going to go and we're going to wreak havoc, and we're going to try to see my challenge to see if we can be the alpha fleet as we know we are. So watch this space, guys, because you have not seen the end of this road. It's just starting on a new pathway as we step things up to go after 2017. So thank you again, guys, from the bottom of my heart for watching all these videos. I hope you've really enjoyed them. I loved making them. Don't forget to like that Facebook page, because there's still an opportunity to win some prizes there. But thank you so much, guys. And until the next video, I'm Aceface, and I'll see you again soon, guys. Bye for now.